Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. And there's Brooklyn over my shoulder too. I had to put Brooklyn on because today's guest is also a digital nomad. So I'll get there in 1 minute. But needless to say, for those of you who've been following me, and have been listening to this YouTube show or the podcast, know that I, in the past decade, have been inviting people to bring photos and objects and documents to in-person and virtual story sharing gatherings called Show and Tales. So I've probably hosted about 150 or more over the decade, and with probably thousands of people at this time who've shared the stories of the things that matter. So needless to say, I am fascinated with it. And so when I ended up meeting, this is e-meeting, right? A lot of the e-meeting that's happening now through LinkedIn, I had noticed that Heather did a TEDx talk, and I was fascinated. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's such a big win. That I was, needless to say, she's a digital nomad and we share things because of that. But during the entire TEDx talk that I was listening to her, and she's such a great speaker, I noticed all the beautiful jewelry that Heather had on during the talk. And I reached out and I said, will you come on my show? And she said, yes. So I am thrilled to introduce you to Heather, and I'm going to let her take the stage and take it away.
Thank you for having me. So it's funny because as we were just talking about earlier, the jewelry, as a full-time traveler and a nomad, I don't have a lot of room and I don't have a lot of like extra budget to buy lots of stuff. So I end up just taking little pieces of jewelry because what I find is even if I take it off for a while and I go away for a year and I come back, I can look at these pieces and remember. They just instantly, viscerally connect me to the experiences I had in each country. And they're lightweight and I can wear them so like they don't take up space in my luggage and all that. So I thought I'd talk about a few of my pieces of jewelry that I'm wearing, and some of them have funny stories and some of them are just about connection. And I think what you were drawn to were so I'm wearing this is New Zealand jade or punamu. And this reminds me of the pandemic when I got stuck in New Zealand. I say stuck, but really it's marooned. I was so blessed to be in New Zealand, of all places in the world. It was a very difficult in the moment decision to make to stay there when, I had planned to stay for 3 weeks, and then suddenly the country was going on lockdown, and the travel agency that I went to told me, you either fly out now or you stay, and it would be indefinitely. We don't know when we'll be allowed to leave the country again. And it was harrowing to go from having the choice to go anywhere in the world to I can't even choose to go home, like to where I'm from. So it was very emotional, and I ended up creating a new life for myself in New Zealand and learned a lot about the Maori population. And so of course the jade is just kind of sacred there. It's to get it, you have to go, you often have to get permission to go on the grounds to find it. I actually went with a woman to look in a river for some pieces, and then we went and we got to go to a jewelry store and actually what do you call it, you work on the stone to bring out the the color and all that. So that was really cool. Then not this one, but so that's all about that experience. And in the town Hokitika in the southern island, which is known for this jade, I found this, which is called I believe it's pronounced Aotea. It's Aotea. If you look at the Maori word for New Zealand, it's Aotearoa, if I'm saying that right. It looks like it would be Aotearoa, but I believe they pronounce it Aotearoa. See, I can't, if you hear a Maori person say it, it's much more eloquent. But what's cool about this stone is, so this is found throughout the southern island. This stone is found only in one place in the southern island, like in the world. It's only in one place. So it's even rarer than the punamu, and it changes color. Nobody believes me. I didn't photograph this. When I bought it, it was pretty much white with like blue specks. And then it's individual to the wearer. So it looks like punamu on me, but it's not. And I did buy a secondary piece, which was more green to begin with, but it had a lot of white in it. And then I photographed it, and you can see how it changed color from my wearing it. So this is just sort of like the rareness of, I don't know, it's just like magic and rarity. So I love that. So the other thing I have is lots of bracelets, and I actually have even more. I had so many bracelets from 5 years that I had to like kind of leave some at home because my arm was getting like too weighed down. But a few that are really fun. So I went to Vietnam, and the fabric one here, I used to have two of them, one fell off. And in Vietnam, I went to Sapa up north, and I went on like a 2-day crazy hiking. I had no idea how hard this hike. I'm not a hiker, so for me to like, I'm short, and you have to make these huge steps up, and I was like kind of scared, and it was a bit rainy and slippery, and these ladies that are tinier than I am were just like running along and jumping up, and they would like hold my hands and help me up. And so at the end, like they kind of, this was sort of like a way to thank them, is to buy these bracelets. So so it reminds me of that. And then this a friend, a wonderful Asian woman from Shanghai that I met gave to me as a like memento in Peru, where I met her, which was really fun. So it just reminds me of her, and I had an amazing time in Peru, which this bracelet actually doesn't come off. So when I had my recent surgery, couldn't take it off. And I found out, by the way, if you ever get an MRI, stone is okay to wear. It does not overheat. So yeah, so that's an amazing memento of my time in Peru. And then I went to Africa, which, like, Africa was an amazing. I went to South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. And this bracelet is from Zambia, from a flea market. And I had been looking for a bracelet like this for a while, but they mostly, throughout Africa, what I saw were mostly the men's ones, which are like huge. And then I found this one. I was like, this is it. And I think I paid like $5 for it or something, which was great. And the other one that had a lot of meaning for me from Africa was this fabric one with the little Africa bead. I was on the beach in Cape Town and met this wonderful man I think he's from Zanzibar, and he was selling bracelets that he made, and he gave this to me. It was very sweet. He said, you give this to your love, and I'm like, well, I haven't found him yet, but anyway. So it's like the whole love, but also connection to Africa, which I love. And this, I went to Italy recently, and this bracelet is from Bari, where the saint here is apparently the patron saint of the town and the protector of women looking for a husband. So I was like, I did this little ritual there. I'm like, oh yeah, all right. So like, I'll buy this. So that was like a silly thing. Um, and the last one that's really fun is this bracelet, which I just got in Iceland. And it's got runes, which are spell out strength. And it was with my mom, and it was kind of, we had this, it was my third trip to Iceland. I loved it. Uh, both in Iceland, well, Iceland ended up being really we had a really windy day. We all thought we weren't going to be able to drive that day. We also, it reminds me, like, my mom and I then went on to Scotland and got stuck in headwinds that were apparently, like, I don't know, our driver said some crazy high number of the head. I thought we were actually, well, specifically I thought my mom was going to blow away and blow off the cliff, and it's I had to hold on to her and like really grab her to like walk faster. And it turned out, actually, sadly, somebody did actually get blown off the cliff. So it's strength. But and in Iceland, of course, you need a lot of strength to they're cold winters, crazy weather, but it's beautiful. And also some of the crazy hiking that you do. So it just reminds me of the time with my mother, and also about, that grounding of fortitude in our lives. So yeah, so those are a few of my like amazing memories from around the world. And I have ones from Argentina and like other places in South America and Asia. And yeah, so it's just been it just reminds me, it's just an instant connection to the travel and to being blessed with the people that I've met and the places I've been. And I just love all of this as that constant, wearable reminder and connection to these times that I've created. Oh, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. That is so yeah, the thing that I say often is that, there is a statement that the best things in life aren't things. And I agree. But in these, probably thousands of hours of inviting people to share the stories of the things that matter, what is so important about the things is that they hold these stories. These stories get attached to them. Like you said, you viscerally, when you touch it, when you look at it, it brings you back to the people, the places, the experience, the life you've created. And yeah, I had Nora Dunn, the professional, hobo. She's because I connected with the Location Indie community.
Okay.
It's an online community, and I met Nora through that, and she and I talked about the same thing that you mentioned, that having the souvenirs, being able to have jewelry, and she also loves getting like little pieces of fabric or things like that again, doesn't take up much space in your backpack or your luggage or whatever, but it still gives you that sight and feel and smell maybe. And I loved your thing about the strength that you needed to have. You finished us up with that was so beautiful, and talking about Iceland and your mom, and needing the strength to survive those wins. So so thank you so much, Heather, for joining us for this episode of Things That Matter. And yes, and I'm so excited, and I want to ask you to let my listeners know, or my watchers, know a little bit about you. Like, obviously we can see ditch the desk, discover your destiny through full time, so we can see some things, but please let my audience know how they can learn more about what you do.
Yeah, so the best way to do that is to come to my website, which is fulltimetravelcoach.com. It forwards you to my main website, heatherbegins.com, where if you are someone like I love working with typically the professionals who want more freedom and flexibility in their life. Maybe they want to become a digital nomad. Maybe now that remote work is finally acceptable, right? Maybe you want to do that, but typically my clients are, they don't know how to get started because it seems like a really great life, but like there's so much to do, or you're stuck on how do I afford it. So I teach all of that. And if you go, you'll see on my main page, there's a path to, pick your path to freedom. And I'm happy to chat with you. If you want to book a free call and just chat, then I would love to do that. And so just come over to my website and you'll connect with me there and learn how I can help you to get started with your full-time travel journey.
Wow, that is so, I love the idea. I have not had a chance, as we were speaking about before, lots of stuff before I hit the road on Saturday, but I didn't have a chance to really look at your website, but I look forward to it because I love the idea of here's your paths. Here's, some different paths.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I will also put in the show notes and information about that. And I also will put in your TEDx talk
Thank you.
in there, because that's what connected me with you. And I just love your energy. I love your, what you're doing is healing. It's important healing work of how can we, people can live different lives and choose to do different things, but it's always good to know that there's options. And if that's something you want to do, if you want more adventure, if you want to get on the road, if you want to do that, that there are people like yourself that can help.
Yes. And I remember, especially because when I started, because I'm also not a millennial, and especially if you're like the mid-career and you're not the millennial and you're not retired yet, that's a tough one because there's so many anxieties around, do I wait till I retire or do I stick it out? For me, it's like 17 more years, so you can obviously guess the answer. But yeah, and there were no mentors back then, so I wanted to be the mentor that I wish I had found that would have saved me at least 10 years of misery at my desk. So
yeah. Yes. And you're right. It's like there's more options now and more available. But as far as specifically for mid-career people, I totally agree. I have not seen that. So I'm grateful for your help. And so I just wanted, in closing, to say thank you for listening to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. And I hope that you come back and listen to more episodes. I will be doing little clips of, I call them mini-sodes, from my live events. Will be coming every other week. And then I'll have a new interview like today that will be twice a month. That's the plan, at least at this point. And so please also consider, if you have an object or a photo and you'd like to share your story, please come to my live virtual events that I have monthly, or send an email to me and ask to be a guest, just like Heather and I, but I reached out to her. But if you want to reach out to me, please do, because I would love to have you on as well. And if you are looking for a way to market your small business, your artistry, your creativity in a way that feels good and does good, please reach out to me to talk to me about my community of story share hosts that I teach how to host story sharing events that really connect and build connections, community, and legacy. So Thanks again, everyone. And thank you so much, Heather, for joining me and sharing part of your story. I look forward to staying in touch and following your journey.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.